What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Won't You Be My Neighbor, the real estate podcast. I'm Brandon from Vegas, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Mr. Bill Gaylord. Bill, how you doing today, sir?
I am doing awesome, ready to roll.
Yeah, you like waking up to 115-degree heat in the morning? How's that doing for you?
Well, it's cooled down. It's only 111, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, right.
We're good.
I'm only waking up mildly sweating. Changing my sheets once a day instead of twice now. So today's subject is going to be on the 5 biggest mistakes that not just first-time home buyers make, but home buyers in general make.
Yes.
And you and I have seen plenty of
We
these.
see it all the time.
Now, I like to do this people don't know this in the audience. I like to keep these things a surprise from Bill. That way the reaction and the feedback you guys are getting from him is completely honest and genuine and not rehearsed. What do you think is going to be the number one thing on this list?
The number one thing on this list is going to be that they buy in the wrong place.
They buy in the wrong place. Okay.
That would be my guess.
All right, we're going to hold on to that. We're going to start at number 5. Number 5 is getting a home that doesn't fit your lifestyle. And for anyone who wants to follow along with our list, this is a list compiled by ChaseBankMortgage.com. So if you guys go to chase.com or if you Google 5 mistakes home buyers make, you can pull up this list and follow along. So number 5 is getting a home that doesn't fit your lifestyle. Mm-hmm. Now, on your end, since you're the lender, it's the financial lifestyle.
Right.
How often have you seen this, where someone buys a home and then realizes, oh, I'm house broke?
Oh, all the time. And it's difficult because a lot of times they look at the house and they go, God, this is the best house. This is what I want. This is how I'm going to live. And it's going to be awesome. And then they get in and they realize I got utility bills.
Yeah.
And I got the HOA fee.
Yeah.
And I got to mow the lawn and I got to get a landscaper and I got to buy other things. And then all of a sudden they have no money.
This is true. Bill, this is 2023. These millennials don't mow their own lawns. They pay someone to come do that for them.
So they get a landscaper. So they have the cost
right.
for
but
that.
Then they still want to eat out.
Yeah.
Right? They still want to live their normal
life.
lifestyle, right?
Yep.
They still want to go out sometimes. They still want to do things, and they forget to factor in entertainment to their housing budget.
Yeah.
It's why the number one piece of advice I give to people once they move into their home, and I give it to them while they're buying. Once you buy your home for your first year, I need you to pretend that you're broke. And they look at me like, ha, ha, ha. And I'm like, no, ha, ha, ha. I'm not joking. The first year in your home, I need you to live like you're broke. Even if you're not, even if you have the money to spend, I need you to, for 1 year, to know what it feels like to transition from a renter to a homeowner.
Yeah.
You have different things. You can't just call a maintenance guy anymore. I mean, you can, but they're way more expensive now. Now you got to call an actual plumber, a home warranty company, all the follow-ups from that end.
Right.
So how often when people buy from you, do you feel like, is this something that you warn people from the lending side? If you feel like, hey, I know you can afford a $450,000 home, but based on what you make, it might be a little bit of a stretch for you.
100%. I mean, and right now in this marketplace with interest rates elevated, they are trying to find the house that they want, and it's just more costly right now. But I'm such a big believer in reserves, having money after you close, so that you can, and I call it the sleep factor, so that you can sleep at night knowing that you can pay your bills and you have money in reserve in case the car breaks down or you have a leak in the house that you have to fix. So big believer. My job is to tell them this is what you could actually qualify for. And many times it's way more than what they should buy. And so it's just, and I back it off and I just say, look, this is probably not what you may be comfortable with. I would buy a little bit less so that you can sleep at night.
What I've started doing is after people talk to you, I tell them, okay, find out not just what you're approved for, but find out what mortgage you're approved for. Make sure because people hear, I'm approved for $500,000 and they get all excited. And then I'm like, okay, here's what a $500,000 mortgage looks like, right? So don't just worry about the approval number. Also focus on what the mortgage is. Make sure it's comfortable for you. Just because you can afford a $500,000 house doesn't mean you can afford a $500,000 mortgage.
Yeah, and again, there's so much to life. You don't want to be stressed in life. And financially, people can get really stressed out because they can't make their payments. And sometimes buying a home, they stretch too far. And and we're looking to lend money, but that's not exactly where they need to be. What we can lend and what they can actually afford are two different things.
True. And you said something good earlier about impounds and reserves. When you guys buy your home, when you look at your closing cost sheet, there's going to be a section under escrow and title called impound, where they purposely take months of insurance or taxes or HOA and they impound them in advance. So your first few months in the house, you're not concerned about that. Why? Because they want you to sleep easy at night. A lot of our job, lender, title, escrow, realtor, is protecting you from you. That's one of my big things, and I know it sounds I know it sounds bad, but truthfully, our job is to protect you from you and the bad decisions and habits that you guys tend to have and make when it comes to real estate, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that. And many people going in, particularly first-time home buyers, there's a lot of fear. Boy, what am I getting into and all this kind of stuff. But what I have also seen is that people adapt to their new norm.
Very quickly.
So they may be paying, $1,800 in rent, and their mortgage payment goes up to $2,800, and they can qualify for $2,800. They just learn how to adapt to that new norm.
Yeah.
But could they qualify for $3,500? Maybe, but man, be careful.
That's why I tell you, first year in the house, live like you're broke.
Yep.
It'll help you adapt. Then when you come out of that second year, you're like, okay, now we know where we can spend a little money, a little extra on entertainment, vacation, whatever. We have the handle of the house now, right?
Yep.
The number 4 mistake people make, skipping home inspections. This is going to be very fast. This is going to be the fastest of the 5. Don't ever skip your home inspection. I don't care if it's a brand new home. I don't care if the home is 1 year old, 2 years old, 3 years old. I don't care. If you skip your home inspection, I'm going to make you sign like 4 pieces of paper that say, I'm dumb for doing this. I'm just being real. If you want to skip your home inspection, I'm literally going to send you 3 different pieces of paper that you have to physically sign that says, I know I'm making a bad decision. I'm still going to make it anyways.
So Brandon, a new home, why should they get a home inspection?
Because you don't know if the workers on your home were lazy. You don't know if they decided that day that they were going to bring in the B team or not give a crap or just not be prepared. You don't know if they're going to make a mistake. You don't know. And why would you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars? When you buy a new home, you're paying extra.
Right.
You're going at the top of the market. So why would you pay for a top of the market home just to have something be wrong with it? The window doesn't open properly. Something's off with the toilet, right? You paid top dollar for perfection. You might as well get perfection.
Yeah.
Don't ever skip your home inspection. That's it. This is gonna be the quickest one. Not gonna dive too into it. Don't ever skip your home inspection ever. Even if they say, we'll give you a better deal in the house if you waive the inspection. Don't do it. Don't ever do it. It's not worth it. Number 3, and this is one that you're gonna knock out the park. Moving too quickly. Me and you deal with this a lot lately, right? Because I run the real estate contact forum, people reach out to me, and the first thing I say is speak to Bill. And oftentimes you come back to me and you're like, hey, these people, they're 6 months away, they're a year away. Tell me about people trying to move too quickly and how it hampers them on the financial side.
Well, a lot of it is just being educated, making sure that you understand where you're at today so you can get to be where you want to be. And sometimes right now, if they move too quickly, they may get into something that they just can't afford, or they're just not ready. They just need to get their kitchen in order, if you will, their FICO score, their income, their assets, save a little bit more money. And so sometimes they move too quickly, and then it can be a crash landing.
Oh, yeah. I had a lady today. She's like, hey, I want to speak to Bill. I switched to working for myself. And I said, pause. When did you switch to working from yourself? 6 months ago. I said, so you went from making a 2-week paycheck to now you pay yourself? She goes, yeah. I said, come back to Bill in about a year and a half. She's like, why? I said, well, you're getting paid completely different. How can Bill loan you money when we don't even know what you're going to be making?
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And it's hard too, because there's like some industries like nursing, right? Some may be working as a W-2 employee for a hospital or whatever. And then the hospital says, hey, you can make more money if you go to an independent contractor. And they go, this is great. I'll go to an independent contractor. They flip it. And now they're self-employed.
Yeah.
And self-employed then becomes a 2-year history to do it.
And no matter what, there's no way around that, right?
Yeah,
Once
no
you
way
go from
around.
self-employed, we need...
Unless you go back
to your previous job, right?
Yep.
And ultimately, it's because, guys, we have to protect you from you. You may say, oh, well, Brandon, my first year self-employed, I made $100,000. Okay, next year you might make 50. You might make 50. And if we put you in a $100,000 house and then you make 50, you're going to lose your house. We have to protect you from you.
And when you do become self-employed, it's basically 2 years of tax returns. So let's say you started your 2 years in the middle of a year, you know, it could be 2.5 years before we can actually prove what your income is going to be.
100%.
So, because you have to have 2 years of tax returns. So,
don't switch jobs or the way you get paid before buying a house.
Yes.
Those are my big three. Don't buy a car before you buy a house. Don't switch jobs before, or switch professions before you buy a house. And don't quit or become self-employed before you buy a house. Just get the house, get the new job, and then, you know, after 2 years, if you want a bigger, better house, do it that way.
can I add one more thing?
Go.
If you're buying a house and you're in contract, don't go buy furniture for your house.
I will end you.
Until
I will end
after.
you. I will end you. Look at me. Look into the camera. If we're under contract and I tell you not to spend money and you go buy furniture and TVs and boats, I will come to your house and I will end you. Personally. Like, it'll be on the news, it'll be on TikTok. Brandon from Vegas kills client. Like, please don't do that. Okay. We both don't want to go to jail. Let's do this. Number 2, looking for more home than you can afford.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about this earlier. Don't go to the max, in my opinion, unless you know that you are making more money. Sometimes we can qualify you and there's more income that you have that we just can't use. It may be overtime that we don't have a 2-year history on. It may be commission that you don't have a 2-year history on. But if you are at a set level and your income is not going to grow, be very, very careful for not maxing out.
I think you put it good. Your income's not going to grow.
Yes.
Right?
If your income's not growing.
Yeah. If you've been working the same job for 10 years and you've been paid pretty much the same for, 8 to 10 years, then that's pretty much where you're at until you change, right?
Right.
So there's going to be no big like, oh, I make $100,000 more now, right? You want to stay consistent.
Yeah. And I, I'll tell you now, I have a client that is selling their house. They're going to pay off debt. And what we're going to do with them, they're going to net $90,000. They're going to pay off $40,000 in debt. They're going to put they're going to use $30,000 for the down payment. And then they're going to have $20,000 left over.
Sure.
And that way they have reserves, they have the payment that they want, they've got rid of their debt, and they can sleep at night.
Sure.
So just understand your situation.
How often do you see, me and you have run into this, but how common is it where you approve someone for $600,000, $500,000, whatever, and they go look for the houses in that price range, nothing's really working, so they come back and they're like, well, I mean, I think I can boost it up to 625, 650. It's happened with you and I before.
Yes.
Is that a common thing where you could approve somebody for more, but you kind of just, I know a lot of times you ask me, well, Brandon, what price of house are they looking at? And I go, oh, about 600,000. And you go, okay, here's the approval for 600,000. Now they could go up to 650. How often does that happen?
I mean, a lot of people, they have this ideal of what they want to get into, and they think that the house is going to make them happy. And I think at times they will try and stretch it, but it happens all the time where they want to stretch. And it's not always recommended. There may be some things that can be tweaked in regards to real estate taxes that may be low, that helps them get to that level. But I just be careful when you get into that home and you know what you can pay and what you can afford, and it's within your budget and you can sleep.
100%. Being able to sleep at night is such a huge part of this.
Huge.
If you're up every night stressing about the house you bought and how much it's costing you, you're not going to enjoy the house the same way.
And today at 111, stressing out in bed.
Yeah, right.
This is not good. You turn your air conditioner off and you're like, oh my God, I can't sleep, and I'm worried about making my payments. Sleep. That's
you're going to have a heat stroke in your sleep. It's not worth it. Trust me. It's not worth it.
No.
It's not worth it. I know your partner might be telling you, no, we got to have the house with the remodeled floors. It is not worth your stress at night. It just isn't. The number one thing on our list, Bill.
Okay. I can't wait.
The numero Uno. And honestly, we could have just done this entire list on number one alone.
Okay.
Like the other four are bad or things that you want to avoid, but ultimately the other four you can live with. If you move too quickly, honestly, I have had some people rush into a house. It was a little scary, a little frantic, but we made it work. I've had people skip home inspections and fingers crossed, it worked out on their new build, no issues. So the other four are manageable. Number one is not manageable at all. If you break this one rule, you are setting yourself up for failure.
Okay, I can't wait to hear what this one is.
Well, you nailed it.
I know it.
You nailed
right?
it, actually. You nailed it.
Yeah.
Choosing the house over the neighborhood.
Yes.
Choosing the house over the neighborhood. We have talked about this on previous episodes. If you buy a $400,000 house in a $350,000 neighborhood, don't be shocked when 5 years from now, if your house is still $400,000, right? Because you bought the best house in a bad neighborhood.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Whereas if I buy the cheapest house in Summerlin, I could do nothing. I could sit there and do zip zilch. And my house is just going to grow in equity because everybody around me is bettering their house.
Bettering their house. And you're going to make fun of me because I always pull this out, but I was an appraiser back in the day. And one of the first things they teach you is location, location, location.
Yeah.
And location makes a big difference. And Brandon, I mean, you nailed it. If you buy the best house in a bad neighborhood, it's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so just make sure that you're going to enjoy the area that you live in. You could have the best house in the property next door with maybe you're in no HOA and you got just a junkyard next to you.
100%. And there's some people, I have some clients who love that. I have some current clients, we pulled up on a neighborhood, no HOA. There was cars, people working on their cars in the front yard. There was a mix of like luxury cars and trucks. And they were just like, we're home. This is us.
Perfect.
Right?
It works for them.
And it's perfect for them. It works for them. But these are people who aren't concerned about the equity in their home. They just want the home and a comfortable neighborhood. The money is completely secondary for them. For most people, the money is the reason they're buying the home, right? Yeah. A lot of people forget that. The number one reason we buy homes instead of renting them is because we like money. We don't want to throw the money away, right?
And that's what I get, told all the time. Mm-hmm. I don't want to rent anymore because I want to put that money into me.
Yes.
And so they're afraid of, just throwing away their money instead of investing in themselves. But I would also say, Brandon, that I do believe buying the house, you should enjoy the house. I think you should look at it also as an investment. But in that house, you need to plan on being there 7 to 10 years. That's normal. So you want to enjoy the area that you live in.
Sure.
And enjoy the home that you live in, and then understand that eventually you're going to grow your wealth.
Yeah. Well, unless you live in Summerlin, right? Like I think there's a few exceptions, like San Francisco, right? If you buy a house in San Francisco, you might only need to stay there 3 years before you gain enough money to escape. And there are, but this is why people pay what I call the Summerlin tax.
Yeah.
This is why people pay the Beverly Hills tax. This is why you pay to live in the premium areas, because it shrinks the amount of time you need to stay in your house significantly, right? If you're staying in, let's call it Old Henderson, you may need to stay in your house 7 to 10 years before you see the equity you're looking for. If I'm staying in the Ridges, if I'm staying in South Summerlin, man, my house might make me $100,000 in the next 2 to 3 years. You never know.
Yeah, you don't know.
Yeah. But this is why we go back to location, yep. Right? And to finish on this, one thing that irks me so much, as a kid, I heard real estate's about location, location, location. And I'd always say the same thing. What makes a good location? Okay, I get it. Real estate's about location, location, location. I get it. Why is this location better than this location?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, location is micro, right? You could be in a neighborhood, and even within the neighborhood, an interior lot as opposed to a busy street on the outside. So same neighborhood, but the location within the neighborhood. You may select a great neighborhood, but just make sure that you're on the lot within the neighborhood that's good.
Do you know my ultimate never fail? It's never failed me. 100% success rate secret for finding a good location. You want to know it?
Yeah.
Let your wife pick it. I'm serious. I've never had when I have a couple arguing about where to live, the husband always wants the bigger, better house, the cheaper house. The wife always wants the better location. I've never had a wife be like, you know what, honey, let's go live in the ghetto. Never. I've never had a wife do that. They always pick the nicest location. And I'm always sitting there like, yep, 100% correct. Guys, your wife, your girlfriend, your partner, she knows the best location. She knows where she feels comfortable jogging at night. She knows the school districts that she wants to raise her kids. She already knows. And guess what? Every other wife knows. They're like synced up on this magical, we know this neighborhood is good. I don't know what it is, but it's magical and they always get it right. I've had people who don't know anything about Las Vegas and their wife is like, we should live in Inspirada. And I'm like, yes, you should, lady.
That is a great
right?
spot. Yeah.
I'm just telling guys, listen to your wife. If your wife says we should live here, she is probably spot on with the location. Speaking of fantastic women who are doing incredible things, Grace, can we have you on camera? Grace, can you come over here, please? Come on.
Oh boy.
Come on.
Here she comes.
Come on. Guys,
Okay, here she
guys,
goes.
I'm scooting over. This is Grace right here.
Bend
Grace,
down. There
Grace,
she
tell
is.
them what you just did.
I'll go in the middle.
Tell them what you just did, Grace. Tell them what you just did.
I just qualified for the Navy.
Hell yeah. Congratulations, Grace.
Yeah, when do you go to boot camp?
September 6th.
All right.
September 6th, Grace, we are all so proud of you. Congratulations. You're an
Thank
amazing
you.
person, man. Congratulations, Grace.
All right. Way to go, Grace.
Yes. We get to end on a good note, man. That's excellent. we got that news right before we went on camera, and I said, "Oh no, we got to share this with the world. This is too cool." Oh,
Whoa.
Brandon's in here breaking stuff. Anyways, guys, thank you for tuning in to the Real Estate Podcast. Bill, thank you for your time.
Thank
Please
you.
let them know how to reach you, Bill.
I see it right behind me. I just noticed it. BillGaylor.com, 858-776-6830. If you want to know where you stand today and can get into a home tomorrow, or not tomorrow, or 6 months from now, give us a call.
Yes, sir. And I'm Brandon from Vegas. You can reach me anywhere. Just type Brandon from Vegas into your Google.
He's everywhere.
Trust me, I'll pop up as annoying as it sounds. As always, guys,